Hi everyone, welcome to our Facebook Live today. My name is Alyssa and I'm the marketing manager here at Kitomba. And today I'm really excited to be able to introduce you to another one of my awesome colleagues, Dylan, who is our customer experience specialist. I had that nailed before, I'm so sorry. Hi Dylan, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. And yourself, Alyssa?
Yeah, good, thank you. It's really, really nice to have you here. Like I always say, it's nice to be able to introduce our customers to more and more of the Kitomba team. I just think it's, cool to be able to put faces to the names. So thank you so much for being here. And I thought that maybe we could start by getting you to tell us, kind of how long you've been at Kitomba and what your roles have been while you've been here.
Yeah, so I have been with Kitomba for about 5.5 years. So I started back in July 2015. Initially, when I started, I was on the help desk. So I was answering all the inbound calls, chats, emails from our customers. I did that for about 2 years and then moved into my current role, which is customer experience specialist. Have been doing that for about the last 3.5 years. So obviously that job title's a little bit vague, but I do a bunch of stuff for the customer ops team, do a lot of the training of new staff, do some preparation of our user guides and stuff like that. A little bit of reporting on top of that.
Awesome, thank you. So that's why we've got Dylan here today. He's obviously the perfect person to be here because today we're going to be talking to you guys all about the end of financial year. And the reason that we want to do that is because the end of the financial year is coming up at the end of the month here in New Zealand and also in the UK. And we know that it can be a really stressful time for you guys because there's a lot of information that you need to gather in order to meet your obligations. But the good news is that Kitomba has a bunch of reports and features that can help you do that really easily. And so we just really want to help take the stress out of that time and make it as easy for you guys as possible. So obviously, Dylan is the expert here and the specialist. Today I'm basically going to hand over to him and he's going to take you guys through kind of the key things that he thinks that you guys need to know based on his experiences. But also, while we're going along, if you guys do have any questions, please do put them in the comments below and then I'll ask them on your behalf, and I'm sure that Dylan will be able to help you out. So Dylan, tell us.
I'll take us away. End of financial year, obviously coming up end of March here for us in New Zealand and for our customers over in the UK. A couple months yet before it hits in Australia. I think that's end of June. But as I sort of alluded to, we used to answer the phones quite a bit, talk to customers. And there was one theme that I noticed every year around about 31st of March or end of June for Australian customers is that we get a lot of calls on the final day of the financial year. There'd be a lot of really stressed out customers. They really be sort of scrambling to try and get together all the data, all the reporting that they needed, maybe to send off to their accountant, maybe for their own record keeping purposes. It's always a bit of a hassle. It's a stressful time for anyone, as you can imagine. Just want to talk through some of the most common questions or common things that people requested or potentially needed to gather for their bookkeepers, and might do a really quick demo as well as I speak through it of where to find it, Kitomba, what the reports look like, all that sort of stuff.
Cool.
I'll take that away. I'll jump into my Kitomba that I handily have open. Just let me know when you got that on the screen.
You have to share your screen.
Oh, have I not shared screen? That's terrible. I thought I already had.
Otherwise, we can't do it.
All right. Give me one sec. Are we good now?
Yeah, it's just loading. Cool. Yep, now I can see your Kitomba, so I will share your screen now. Cool. Ready to go.
Sweet. So at the moment, I'm just in front of my regular Kitomba that I have installed on my computer. I've navigated my way to our reports tab, and I'm sort of already, while I was doing some practice runs before this, searched up the business summary. So one of the most common things that people are looking for in the financial year, I mean, it's something that you're probably looking at all the time. I know the business summary is a report that if you're not running it frequently, you probably should be. It's sort of that all-in-one. But just for that basic sales information, so finding out what you've sold over the course of the year, business summary is perfect for that. So obviously what I'm going to do is hide some of that information and just change it to the 31st of March 2020, run that to the 31st of March 2021. Execute might take a while. Obviously, there's a lot of data, but yeah, it should eventually load up the report and show you what your total sales were for the whole year. So obviously, my business I've got here, nice and easy. Can see the total sales here. There is obviously the further breakdown and whatnot, but generally for the purposes of end of financial year, all you really need to focus on is your total sales. One thing that you may want to do, obviously I just ran the report for the date range, but one thing that you may want to do is run it GST exclusive. Obviously, that would just give you your sales minus the GST that your customers paid for that. We do have a separate report in Kitomba. If you are in the report tab and search for GST, called the GST summary. And this report here will give you what your actual GST payments should be. So basically the GST total of all your sales over the year date range. And it will give you any GST free sales that you may have made. So you may be a business that doesn't do any GST free sales, but this might include things that like a green fee or something like that, and it wouldn't include vouchers. So a quick, easy way to find out what your GST payments should have been for the year can be found on this here report. There might be a slight difference for some of our users or customers who use cash-based accounting rather than accrual-based accounting. And for that, I would probably just recommend running the cash draw takings report. And this report here, as you potentially gather from the name, should give you all of your cash draw takings for the entire year. So it will give you your various payment types on your invoices and your payments that you've received from customers. And it should hopefully split it in terms of your bank payments and your non-bank payments. So your non-bank payments being stuff like vouchers usually, or concessions if you are a business that uses concessions. So this is a sort of quick way to figure out the actual cash that you've received as a business, which may differ from your sales. Obviously, if you've sold things like vouchers, or you've had customers prepay for things, or you've had customers who have maybe received a service or taken a product but haven't paid you yet, and there may still be an account in debit at that stage. So if you are a cash-based business, rather than looking at sales, you'll probably be more likely to look at takings. One potential tip that I'd have, if you are a cash-based business, you might want to look into the Kitomba and Xero integration. So essentially, using the Kitomba Xero integration at the end of each day when you do your reconciliation and you ensure that your payments all line up, when you finish that and you reconcile it, it sends that payment information up to Xero. So you'll hopefully have all of your cash positions, all that sort of stuff ready to go in Xero, and you might not even need to do this report at the end of the year. You'll hopefully have that information in your accounting system ready to go.
Awesome. Sorry, just one quick thing, Dylan. Just to clarify, is it running your reports from the 1st of April to the 31st of March?
Yes, sorry. Sorry, I was trying to do it quickly, copy paste. But yes, exactly. Thanks.
Cool.
The other thing, or the other sort of really frequent sort of topic that we get calls from clients around the end of financial year is the topic of stock. So there's a couple of stock reports you probably want to run. Most notably, if you've been doing your stock ordering through Kitomba, so you've been creating supplier invoices, you've been adding stock to Kitomba as you get it, the stock movement summary report can be used to generate a sort of summary of all of your expenditure with those various suppliers over the course of the year. So in this example here, I can see I spent 11 grand thereabouts with Kerastas. But yeah, that would be for whatever your suppliers are, you'd be able to see it by supplier, the exact amount that you've spent with them. The other important stock report that you may need to run is the stock value report. So this report is run as at the date. So you would want to run this sort of as of the end of financial year. And this will basically give you the total value of your stock assets that you have on the shelves. This report is a little bit interesting because you can actually change the valuation method. So what you or how you value the stock. So right now I've got it at value at current cost, which actually isn't the Kitomba default, and possibly isn't what an accountant or a bookkeeper might want to see. The value at current cost is the current cost of a product as is set in your cards tab of Kitomba, where you can set the cost price. So obviously the advantage of this is that what you get, or what you see is what you get, basically. You can obviously see what the cost price is, and then multiply that by the number of products on hand. It should then give you the value. So nice and simple. But the other valuation method, I'm just going to actually dip into here into my preferences, and then into stock. The other valuation method, first in, first out. This is a sort of more accurate accounting method. This will essentially value my stock based on the price that I paid when I put it into the system. So you notice there my stock value actually fell by a little bit. Potentially my stock was cheaper when I purchased it than it is right now. Essentially, this method will give you the price that you paid for the current stock that you have on hand, assuming that you sell your older stock first. So obvious example would be if I purchased 10 products in February for, I don't know, $30 each, and I managed to finish 9 of those 10 and then ordered another 10 in March that I still had on hand, I would have 11 on hand and potentially have purchased the new stock in March for $25. With the value at current cost method, it would assume that all of my products, so all 11 were worth 25, whereas with first and first out, it would say, yep, 10 of them were worth 25, but that 11th one from last month is worth 30. So it increases my stock value ever so slightly. But then as soon as I sell that old item or that item from the previous month, it should all level out. Sort of a lot to sort of discuss, but the general rule of thumb is for the purposes of end of financial year, and in particular what accountants like to see, the first in, first out method tends to be the most accurate and the one that we would recommend and the default that we set. Sort of as an aside to this, I probably don't have the time to go through the exact steps and details around it. But one thing that I would probably recommend that you do prior to running this report is a stock take in Kitomba. So I believe you've got a link to a couple of user guides or potentially a step-by-step video, Alyssa. But yeah, just doing a stock take in Kitomba, ensuring that what you have on the shelves right now is reflected on what's in Kitomba, will just mean that when you run this report, it will be accurate. You can be a lot more confident in those numbers.
Yeah, like Dylan said, after this, if you guys watch out in the Facebook comments below the video, we're going to share links to some blogs and to some support guides and things like that are referencing what we've spoken about today. And they've been specifically created to help you guys through the end of financial year. So yeah, watch out for that.
Awesome. Thanks, Alyssa. Moving away from stock, other things that tend to be looked into around in the financial year are your liabilities and potentially outstanding sort of debits from your clients. So if you've got clients who are currently owing you money, the easiest way to find that is by looking up the customer account summary report, or client account summary report, as it's now called. You can run that as of any date, and this should hopefully give you a list of all the individual clients who currently are either in debit or credit. My data here has been washed, so all my customers look the same. But you can obviously see accounts in debit, so these are customers who currently owe you money. I suppose that would be classed as an asset. You might not receive that, but its money's outstanding. And then on a separate page, you'll normally be able to find your accounts and credits. So this is obviously a liability. These are customers who currently have a credit on their account. They could still come into the business and redeem that for products and services, etc. So yeah, one-stop shop for all of this information. And in terms of your other liabilities, you will most likely want to run the vouchers outstanding report and the concessions with remaining visits report. Obviously, your vouchers being something that your customers could still come and redeem, you're still liable for that value of goods and services. Running this report should hopefully give you a really quick snapshot of how many vouchers you have, and then obviously the monetary value of those and the remaining value. Unfortunately, the database I have right now is not a concessions user, totally missing out. But if I did have concessions outstanding, the concessions with remaining visits report would give me that figure. But yeah, that's basically it for the main reports that we often hear about and sort of the main features that we'd recommend you use. So ideally, if you are cash-based, look into the Xero integration. Ideally, I'll get Alyssa to share a link to a short step-by-step video on how to do that. Yeah, aside from that, I think everything I've covered so far can be found on our blog.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much, Dylan, for that. That's awesome. Yeah, there's obviously a lot that our customers need to think about at this time, but it's so cool that we've got so many reports and features and things that can help you guys through that. So like Dylan said, I will, after this, in the comments below, I will share some links to blogs and user guides and things like that that we think are really going to help you out. The other thing that we're doing at the moment as well is that over the course of March for our New Zealand and UK customers, we're going to be sending you guys a series of emails, but also putting a bunch of from posts and things like that on our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you guys are following us and making sure that you're opening up our emails, then yeah, throughout the month we're going to be sending through information just to try and really take the stress out of March 31st and make sure that you're not one of the customers that has to call us. But as always, you know, our team is there to help you guys. So if you do need us, then they're amazing and they're there and, you know, ready and willing to help you. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for your time today, Dylan.
Cheers. Thanks, Alyssa.
Oh, and yeah, good luck with end of financial year, guys, and we hope to see you on our next Facebook Live. See you next time.